Welcome back to the KSSR space program. In the last episode, we unlocked a whole bunch of technology and landed some probes on the moon and Minmus. And importantly, we unlocked astrodynamics. This tech gives us an enormous amount of parts that are going to be very important for a whole bunch of extra vehicles that we can now make. We can do the upgraded Koyuz missions. We can have some basic space station parts. We have both the KTS, where is it? Somewhere in there. But we got the a couple of the three-man crew pods, the RKS and the KTS. So this is a really good thing for us to have. There's still a bunch of stuff that we need to unlock before we get going with some of the really exciting missions that we've got coming up. So what we're going to do, we are going to start off by going with the RKS. This is a crew pod. Let's take a look here. Now, this was the basis of a manned moon landing mission. So, like the United States, back during the Cold War, the Soviet Union played around a bit with different profiles. They had the Lunar Orbit Rendezvous, which ended up winning out their competition. They also had a proposal for a direct ascent vehicle. This was the space capsule for the direct ascent vehicle, and it went as far as like a full-scale, sort of a mock-up prototype. But a whole bunch of the extra equipment and stages, and of course the rocket to get it there, were never finished. There were also a number of proposals to use this for other things, such as a lunar flyby and all that. And that's sort of what we're going to be starting off with here. So I'm going to get this built. Okay, we are ready to give this a shot, and the first thing we're going to do is an abort test. Okay, that looked like a clean abort test. So we're going to revert back to launch and see what this can do. And I need to take a quick break for 1 second. Okay, here we go. And this first mission with it, literally, is just going to be to go up into orbit. So that should be pretty easy to get done. Whoop! It would help if we throttled up, huh? Okay, so we've got our capsule up in orbit. And this crazy design layout is correct, by the way. This is how they planned to build this thing, to do a flyby of the moon, and do like be able to enter orbit around the moon. And the plan was to stick the solar panels like down on some arms near the engine under the fairing, and that was an effort to preserve the diameter of the overall vehicle. So kind of creative engineering. But we have used that to use these little arms down here to include some science experiments, which I don't really think we have any need for at the moment, but they are good to have for going other places, doing other things. Ooh, there's one. Oh, and you know what? We can actually use that as an opportunity to do a spacewalk. Let's have Bob go out. Hey, Bob. We get an EVA report while we're at it. How's that? And we'll take that data. And get back up in there. So this actually, this spacecraft is a workhorse. Or at least it can be. You know, it's very versatile. It's got a drogue parachute and the main landing parachute. You know, it holds 3 Kerbals. I mean, this really has the potential to be a very versatile workhorse design. We're not going to be, you know, using it to like go to other planets and stuff like that. But in a casual playthrough, not for episodes, that is absolutely something I do with this thing. So for right now, we're just going to go down and land and see what we get. And since this capsule is a little bit easier to exit and stuff, we can actually use this for grabbing a little bit of extra science when we land in weird places. So that worked out pretty well. And that should have completed the contract for us. I didn't notice. We'll give that a quick check. Indeed it did. Alright, and we got a bunch of science. So let's see what the next one wants us to do. This just wants us to go up into a much higher altitude. And this will be a useful test, I think, of the heat shield and the overall design and all that. So let's check real quick and see if there's any of these that we can sort of do while we're on this mission. Was kind of hoping we'd have one for science in space around Kerbin. Tis not to be, I guess. That's fine. And of course, we've got some more tech that we really want to get with trans stages here. This one's ends up being a pretty important tech overall for the long-term progression. So we're about halfway to what we need for that. We're not going to get it with this mission, but after a few more of these and we can do some more science, maybe another landing, we'll be there, and that's going to really open up a lot of potential for us. So for right now, we're going to send our other 3 crew members that don't have a little bit of experience progression there. And Jeb, he's going to get tons over time, so he's fine. And we will launch this mission up again, and it's going to be very familiar. Alright, so we completed our contract objectives. We are going to take the opportunity, while we're up here, to do some science collection. If there's any of these that we haven't done yet. There's one. We can collect that rather than transmit it back. That'll give us a little extra science. And we can also do a spacewalk up here at high altitude. That'll give us some additional science as well. The EVA... Oh no, we've already done that. Okay. I thought we hadn't. I'm clearly a moron. Whoop. Don't want to bump those solar panels or anything. Was that not the one? There we go. How did we have an EVA report from Space High, but not a crew report? Oh well. Alright, in any case, now we're going to go back down and see what we get for a landing. Okay, that actually ended up being a pretty good mission there. So now we're going to see what it wants us to do next. It wants us to fly by the moon. Oh, no, put it into orbit around the moon. All right, we'll grab that. Look at that science reward. Oh, yeah. This is a good one. That's a good one. Now this will also give us the opportunity for getting some EVA science and whatnot from space around the moon. So that's not bad. Now for this one, no, that'll be fine as it is. Alright, so let's do some crew. Let's get Jeb, Wilrim, who for some reason still doesn't have any more experience, and we'll do Bill. And this should have enough Delta V to get into orbit around the moon and then make it back to Kerbin. We'll see. We may not get there. Okay, we have entered orbit around the moon, and that will satisfy our contract requirements. So we're going to go through and get ourselves a whole bunch of science here. And a few of these experiments, yeah, a few of them we haven't done at all, I don't think. Okay, it was only the gravimeter. But that's okay. Alright, so we'll have Bill go out and grab it, because why not? Hey, Bill. Now, the catch is we are very tight on Delta V. I do not know if we're going to have enough Delta V to return back to Kerbin, but we're going to try. We are at the point, well, we're just about at the point in the orbit where it's going to be the most efficient to do a retro burn. Or actually, well, from here it'll be a prograde burn, but... Alright, moment of truth. Just barely. Look at that. Look at that. Just barely. But I will take it. Alright, so I'm going to save. And we'll time warp back down to here. And we're going to be coming in, re-entering over the night side of the planet. But that's fine. That's fine. It'd just be easier for the ground crews to find us. And that'll be some good contract completion. And we're also bringing home a little bit of science. And that 100 science from completing the contract is not going to be insignificant. That's actually going to be quite a big deal for us. That ended up being a very clean mission. Not bad. So if that got me what I think it got me, we will have opened up a whole bunch of extra goodies. And it did. Okay. So let's complete these contracts out. Now we've got trans stages. This is important. Now we are going to take our contract to send the first probe to another planet, and it's going to be Duna. So literally all we got to do here is get something to Duna and transmit some science. So we are going to use our 1MV probe bus as the basis for this. However, we're going to be making some moves, adds, and changes. Alright, so we've built our probe, and we are going to launch this. It should have enough Delta V. We're going to launch this to Duna. And if you've seen my nearly stock, mostly stock career playthrough, you know what to expect. This is going to be a little bit of a ghetto intercept. But if you haven't seen how I do this, get ready to cringe. And that is how we do a patented Tim's Variety ghetto intercept. Very easy, but not strictly speaking the most efficient. Now, this is also the first probe we've sent outside of Kerbin's sphere of influence, so we're going to take a few minutes and gather a bunch of science from space around the sun, which is actually going to return quite a bit. Alright, so that got us a pretty good jump start on our science. Now we're going to warp over to our intercept with Duna. The only catch is we may have to watch our electricity, but I think we're going to be okay because I put that little prototype RTG on it. Specifically because these solar panels are not sun tracking. So, like, I'd have to be making constant adjustments to keep this aimed at the sun. Alright, we have entered space around Duna. I'm not entirely sure where it is, but we've entered space around Duna, so all we have to do to complete our contract is return some science. And we should be getting a whole bunch from all this stuff. Alright, so we've transmitted a whole bunch of science from space high. Now, I'm actually going to take this into a lower orbit, if we can avoid Ike there, and see if I can transmit some science from space low. And if we have enough Delta V and everything left over in our engine, I'm also going to do some science in Ike. This can end up being an extremely good, profitable mission for us. Okay, we're in space low over Duna, so I am going to go ahead and start grabbing these science experiments. Okay, so that has gotten us an absolutely ridiculous amount of science. So what I'm going to do now, I've still got tons of Delta V. We're not going to be able to do contract stuff for this, but I'm going to try and get an intercept with Ike, which usually isn't too hard, and do some Ike science, which again will really jumpstart us. Like, we might even finish out Tier 2 just from this mission. This is going to be an extremely profitable mission. Alright, and we are flying in real fast over Ike, so I'm going to try and do some of this quickly. And we'll take a nice picture. For whatever reason, the temperature data really transmits very slowly, even though it's not a whole lot of science or a whole lot of electricity. This one, however... gonna have to hope for the best. Because what I'm gonna be trying to do here is also to sort of comport down and get into space low around Ike. And that really should do it. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a great flyby. Alright, now I don't have anywhere near enough power to transmit all this stuff, but I can log it and transmit it when I get back into orbit around Duna. Excellent. That's going to work out very well. Alright, so what does this do? This gets us into this really weird orbit around Kerbin. Let's try this. I'm sorry, around Duna. Alright, that'll work. So we're going to... Okay, that actually works out pretty well. Because I want to leave this probe in orbit around Duna anyway, since it is technically a relay. So just in case we ever send anything else out here, we'll be able to use this probe as a relay probe. Alright, so now I've got my electricity charged back up. I can start transmitting some of this. Now that intercept with Ike also had the side effect of giving us a really serious inclination change. We have sort of like a plane shift here without a whole lot of delta V. So, you know, it's one of the things moons are really useful for in Kerbal Space Program. Alright, so that should be a good stable orbit. I'm just going to kind of leave this... There, close enough. Now, this is probably going to have netted us at least like 1,000 or 2,000 science. I'm expecting some really huge returns off this. We'll find out in just a second here. Oh, look at that, 1,700. Love to see it. This is going to get us a whole bunch of really important tech, which of course it's going to lead to a lot of really advanced stuff that we need for our progression. So let's start grabbing. Yeah, that's a big one right there. Right, this one, yeah, we kind of need that. We need all of this really, but we're not going to have enough to get all of these at the same time. So we're going to have to prioritize. All right, so this will help us with some other stuff, but we also need to get up to advanced radio for that high gain antenna. Well, we don't need to, but we really should. That's also a very important experiment right there. The UV camera is also good. There's just so much good stuff here. So I am going to opt for... Yeah, we'll go for advanced guidance. and our solar arrays next. Okay. So we now have a whole bunch of very useful parts that are going to unlock an enormous amount of new missions for us. So make sure you check out the next episode to see what comes next. As always, thanks for watching.